Everybody. Can you hear me all right? Got the sound levels checked and whatnot? Appreciate you being here today and having the interest in this. My name is Doug Owens, and you probably all know Representative Phil Lyman, a well-known public person who's been vocal about his opinions in the past. He and I see many things differently. I represent one of the most democratic areas of the state. I was one of the attorneys who tried to get the Legacy Highway steered out of sensitive wetlands. I ran twice for the United States House of Representatives in the hopes of doing more to protect Utah's spectacular wildlands. And I strongly support the restoration of the Bears Ears Monument boundary to the original boundaries. Clearly, there's going to be a lot that Representative Lyman and I disagree on. And besides just the issue differences, I have heard plenty of opinions, and I had my suspicions coming into the legislature about Representative Lyman. But we got to talking, and we found that we have a considerable piece of common ground. And I also found Representative Lyman to be utterly sincere in his beliefs, and you can work with sincere people. So that's how this political odd couple got started. Regardless of how we see the boundaries of the monument, we know certain things. We know that visitation is up in the area 72% since the monument was designated. We also know that very little has been done to help those visitors become informed and to visit the area in a respectful manner. Representative Lyman and I also agree that the history of the indigenous peoples of the area is truly remarkable, and that the area contains amazing native cultural resources that deserve protection and to be celebrated. Added to that are astonishingly beautiful geological and biological resources. So identifying that common ground has led to this idea that we are pleased to publicize today. And it's important to emphasize that this effort to build a visitor center by the state of Utah is an invitation by the state of Utah to work with the tribes identified in the original proclamation. This bill will give control of the visitor center to the 5 tribes recognized in the original proclamation, monument proclamation. They will have authority to make recommendations about all matters surrounding the center, its location, management, functions, funding, and how it can serve as a repository for Native American knowledge and history. Our hope is that both political parties can come together on this project to work with the tribes, our state government, and the federal government to build a facility that's a credit to the area, to the tribes, and to the whole state. Thank you. And now I'll turn the time over to Representative Lyman.
Thank you, Representative Owens, and appreciate that introduction. I think the representative did a great job of laying out what this is about. And as he said, we do come at this from very different angles. As a county commissioner in San Juan County, I was directly impacted by the Bears Ears National Monument designation. We worked for 4 years in advance of that designation with all of the interest groups, the tribes, trying to come to what we thought was a sensible resolution and a designation as a national conservation area. We felt that the national monument would bring way too much attention, and it would endanger the very artifacts and objects that it was pretending to protect. So when the monument was designated on December 28, 2016, in kind of a king-like fashion by President Obama, we were offended by that. We were upset by it. He took it. If you read the proclamation itself, it assumes a lot of control in San Juan County over that land, and with that control comes a lot of responsibility, and we haven't seen the responsibility part of that come to fruition. All we've seen is the control part of it. The monument was reduced by President Trump, and I was pleased with that reduction. I would have preferred to have seen it rescinded. Again, not because I don't value that land, but because I do value that land. I value it, and we've seen the visitation increase exponentially down there. House on Fire ruin, a ruin that a lot of locals were aware of, it had 90 people signed the register in 2016. Now, if you go down there on any given day, you'll see 350 people there at any moment on any day. So if that's protection, I guess I don't understand what that word really means. But it has brought visitation, and that visitation needs to be addressed. And like I said, Representative Owens and I come at this from a different direction, but we both come to the same conclusion that there should be a facility there to help direct and educate the people that are coming to see that area. Another thing that we agree on, and is just a fact and a circumstance, is that there are amazing people with a long, long history in that region. And the monument's desire to respect those people, to respect their culture, to help them to preserve it and display it and kind of inform the world about who they are and what's important to them, that rises above all politics. And hopefully it rises above any of the differences that we may have here at the state legislature. I also want to just comment that this is not an effort for the state legislature to control the narrative on this. This is between the tribes and Congress. That's their right as a government-to-government relationship. It's a gesture on the part of the state legislature to do what we can to support that effort, to support the tribes in making that effort. And I want to compliment Representative Owens. I think he recognizes that you can do things together that you can't do separately. He could have passed this bill and not invited me to come and have the discussion, but he did. And I respect that. I'm grateful for it. It is in my area. And so with that foundation between the two of us, hopefully it will set the stage that this is not a confrontation. It's an opportunity. The governor's committed $100 million to outdoor recreation. We're talking about people who live in very poor circumstances. This could be a great asset in so many ways, and I think it's the right decision at the right time. Thank you.
We're happy to take questions if anybody has any.
What's the fiscal note on this?
It's being generated this week. That's why it's not numbered yet. It'll be out. We do plan to put some resources behind it, not only to fund the meetings of the committee, but also to hire a consultant and hopefully even to commit some funds for the building of the center should we get to that point.
And what's been the role with tribal leadership in developing this legislation? Have you spoken to tribal leadership? Are they supportive?
We have reached out to the Intertribal Coalition. The question was, what has been the role of tribal leadership in this legislation? And really, this is an invitation by the state of Utah to the tribes. We have been in communication with them. They're studying it, considering it. We put in the press release a comment from one of the nonprofit organizations that operates in the area, Diné Bekeya, that looks at this as a positive effort. So if you read the bill, it states that the state of Utah is inviting the 5 tribes to form a committee and to make some recommendations to the state that we anticipate the state getting behind, helping to fund, working with the federal government and the philanthropic community and others to bring it to reality. So it's an invitation at this point, and we are in discussion with the tribes.
What would the timeline be for creating a visitor center?
Take that one. Sure.
This bill simply creates the committee that will discuss those types of things. We expect this to have vast majority federal financing, and with that there comes some legislation and some negotiating in Washington D.C. that we will leave that to those tribes to determine. The sooner the better, and we're hoping with this new administration, if it's a lightning strike moment, if they're going to do something to expand the boundaries, that they also take, again, that responsibility that comes with that control that they're exerting. So I would hope that would happen quickly.
And I'll add just one comment. The bill, as it's currently written, does ask the tribes to act in time so that the legislature can take action a year from now. So we are trying to move it along. We think the timing is right in Washington to bring a project like this and to get federal matching dollars, so we think that it needs to be on a tight time frame.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.